Welcome back to What's New in the Lou podcast, presented by Kaldi's Coffee and recorded right here at Bucket List Podcast Studios. This is your can't miss weekly podcast where we are bringing you the best new restaurants, the can't miss events, and of course, the people that are helping make our community the best place to live and visit. And stick around for the end of each episode where we have a calendar so you know exactly what is happening all around St. Louis this week. Now, this is our final episode of 2025, which feels crazy, but it's here and we are deep in the holiday mode. And that's why I'm really excited about today's guest. Lia is one of St. Louis's most beloved bakers, and nothing says holidays to me like baking cookies.
Oh, I agree. That's where it all started for me.
Yeah. So when you think about building holiday traditions in the kitchen, what's the first thing that comes through your mind?
Just getting in the kitchen first off and baking with your family. I think it's so special. That's where I fell in love with being in the kitchen as just a little kid, right next to my great grandma rolling out Giugiolina Italian Christmas cookies. And that's a memory that I'll cherish forever. And so getting my kids involved in the kitchen has been so important. And just, I think, having the right recipes that people and like that passed down from generation to generation. We still bake my great grandmother's press cookies at the bakery, and that's what's inside of our cookie boxes. And so just having the tradition and the heart and the love of baking around the holidays is so special.
Yeah. So walk me back to those early memories for you. What do you remember from childhood when you think about baking? Was it always a baking memory? Was it just a cooking memory? Like what started it all for you?
So probably started the baking memory. Like I have vivid memories rolling this, it's called a Giugiolina. It's Italian Christmas cookie rolled in sesame seeds. And there was no measurements. It was just like my great grandma and my Mima like being like, okay, a little more flour, a little more sugar, a little more this. And so just the tradition of like knowing that those recipes were passed down to them and then passed down to me were so special. And those are like my vivid memories of just being in, whether it was my grandma's kitchen or my mom's kitchen, baking holiday cookies. I mean, I've loved to bake all year round, but the holidays is just really special. We threw on Amy Grant and we were baking cookies in the kitchen. And just with I have a big family. And so there's 4 girls. And so all my sisters just gathered around baking and then passing that tradition on to my nieces and my nephews and then now my kids. And so
when you think about trying to pass those recipes to other people, when you think about your cookbook and crafting those recipes and those memories, how hard is that to take something that really is almost like you just have to do it and feel it?
Exactly.
But if you're making a cookbook with it, you got to have the precise measurements.
That was the hardest part with my book because I do bake so much with heart and feeling. And like, I'm like, oh, it needs a little more of this. Or, I can tell just by the way the cookie looks when it crackles, when it's done. And so trying to put that into words in the book was challenging. But I feel like that's why people need to make it more often. And like, don't just bake the recipe once. Like, do it time and time again. And that's how you truly learn the craft is by baking often. I think people are intimidated. They think it's scary because it's so much of a science and measurements and all that. But really, it doesn't have to be. I think if you bake from your heart and you like pour your love into it and do it often enough to where you can get the practice and like learn the craft, I think that's what's really important when it comes to baking.
Yeah. So when we look at let's talk first about just the Christmas cookie book.
Yeah. Just a little stocking stuffer.
Little stocking
booklet.
stuffer. Yeah. Great idea for that. When you're looking and trying to pick out cookies for that, was it hard to narrow it down?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I have my favorites. So this is like my favorites. It may not be your family's favorites, but I try to incorporate other people's favorites too. So it's got anything from like a chocolate chunk cookie to a ginger doodle, which is so good, dipped in white chocolate. My great grandmother's Giugiolina and pressed cookies are in there, as well as a classic like sugar sprinkle and of course a snickerdoodle, because I think I did a poll years ago on Facebook. I was like, what's your favorite Christmas cookies? And Snickerdoodle was the one. Yeah, I was kind of surprised. And I also have biscotti in there too. So just like a well-rounded book. And there's 15 recipes and it's just a cute little kind of booklet.
When people are intimidated by the idea of baking cookies, especially if they're thinking about baking them for other people, and they're like, oh God, I don't want to serve them burnt cookies or terrible tasting cookies. What's your one piece of advice?
Well, I think anybody's just happy to receive cookies. Like if somebody baked something for me, I don't care whether it's good or bad or burnt or whatever. It's just like the fact that they took the time and they thought of you to bake something. So I think that's really special. Just, spreading the joy or cheer, there's nothing more special than somebody like you come home and there's a little bag of cookies on your doorstep from your neighbor or something. So I think that they should just go for it and they should do it. And then, take the time to read the recipe. That's always really important. Reading the full recipe so you don't get down to step number 5 and you're like,
and
oh,
realize you
crap.
needed to prep something a little differently.
Or you didn't have that ingredient, I didn't realize I needed sprinkles or something like that. So reading the full recipe and then just having fun with it. I think people spend too much time thinking it's scary, whether it's just more so just have fun and think about the person that you're baking for, just kind of sending them some love.
Now, if it is a little too intimidating, you guys can also do it for them.
We can do it for you for sure. Yeah.
You sell these really cool cookie boxes.
Yeah, so we've been doing it for the last, 5 years. We made Christmas cookie boxes, and it's 12 different cookies in each box. We have a large box and a small box, and we probably do at least 300 of each size a year. So we crank out a ton of cookies. It's so fun.
How long does that take? A
lot of time, yeah. And every cookie, of course, is baked fresh, and so we try to prep as much as we can. And I've got my team, even right now, I'm like, okay, we have to bake off 58 of each cookie, today for the boxes for this. And so I'm like, are you guys good that I leave,
I imagine this is a pretty busy time of year.
It is. So yeah, stepping away and sitting down, I feel like I should be moving around doing a million things, but it's really nice actually.
So 5 years ago, you officially opened the bakery.
Yeah.
What does that mean to hit that 5-year mark?
It was hard to get to 5 years. Felt like it flew by, but also I'm like, how has it already been 5 years that I've been here? And we opened in the heart of COVID. So that was a challenging time, as we all know. Just getting through, customers weren't able to sit down in the beginning, or we had to wear masks and all that stuff, and just kind of navigating through those punches. And then just kind of, being successful throughout the last 5 years has been amazing. St. Louis has really showed us some love and shown up for us. So it's been really cool.
You guys are located in the heart of Florissant, which is your hometown, yes?
I live a block away. So golf cart, walk real quick. My kids go to school right down the street. So it's all works just within a few blocks, which is, I really feel like why I was able to have 3 kids and run a business and write a book and everything, because it's all right there.
What did that mean to bring a bakery like that to your neighborhood?
Yeah, I think it was just what we needed, especially during the time of COVID when everybody was down, It was we needed that light to shine. And there's not a ton of new businesses coming into Old Town Florissant as much as we wish there would be. So it was just kind of something that the community needed, a place that they can gather, a safe place where they could go and feel welcomed and loved. And we have so many regulars, but we also have new people every day, which is really cool.
And what does that mean when you get somebody that walks through your doors that says, I read about you online, I saw a post of yours, and I just had to make the drive to Florissant to try your cookies?
It's amazing. It makes me feel so good. I'm like, wow, word of mouth is awesome, but social media is great too. But the amount of people that have been like, yeah, I saw this, magazine article, or a friend of mine said to come. There was a couple that came from Chicago that said they saw my book on Amazon, and she's like, I wanted to come get it in person. I didn't want to order on Amazon. I was like, that's amazing. I was like, you're crazy, but that's really cool.
I love it. We love the dedication. And so when you were opening the bakery and thinking about what that meant for your life, because you had young kids at the time, why was that a dream that you knew had to happen? Yeah.
At first, it was really scary because I was like, do I want to take this jump? My whole life would change. I had 2 young kids, a baby, a young baby. I think he was 6 months when we were scheduled to open. And then he was a year when we actually opened the doors. So it was just a really scary time, financially too. We had to my husband and I poured our whole life savings into this space. And it was just something that I just felt in my heart. I just kept getting this nudge of chase that dream, take the jump. And I just knew it was kind of something on my heart that I wanted to do. And I always wanted to own a business, especially own a bakery. And it wasn't until the building popped up for sale when I was like, okay, I think
what was that building before?
It was a antique shop and a framing shop. And then before that, it was a hardware store. So we completely had to gut it and kind of transform it into the space that it is today.
I imagine adding a pretty large scale kitchen.
Oh yeah.
It's a big endeavor.
Yes. We just added on a new oven. So that's kind of a big deal for me. That's my milestone. I get another oven, that's awesome.
Yeah. Hitting that kind of milestone for a business to know, hey, we're reaching that kind of capacity that we needed.
Yeah, exactly.
What were those little milestones over the last 5 years that you kind of pinpoint as this is working?
So actually being able to hire employees. Because in the very beginning, we honestly couldn't pay. Like, we didn't have the money to pay
Mm-hmm.
employees. My husband was like, you can afford one baker and yourself. I was like, okay, well, that's not going to work out. Finally being able to get a dishwasher. That was like huge. Like, to have a dishwasher, a daytime and a nighttime closing dishwasher. People think that that's just like, oh, you're just a dishwasher. That is the most important job. Like, they are amazing. And because I used to be the one mopping the floors at midnight, or my team would be, there for 16-hour days just because we had to finish the dishes and do all the closing and everything. So getting to the milestone of being able to afford a team was amazing and like super exciting because I think I've got 20 employees now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's huge.
It's awesome. They're not all full time, but it takes a lot of different moving parts, to make the team. So that was huge. Getting more ovens was always great. Having a walk-in cooler and having more freezer space. It's just like the more equipment that we can buy. Like I always run it by my husband because he's the numbers guy, but I'm like, we need another mixer. Can I get another mixer, please? That's my Christmas present.
When you look at when you started versus where you are now in terms of the output of what you guys are selling, I don't know if you measure it by cookies or items like that. Like, what's your daily output?
Yeah.
Like
So I always track the sales, like, how many sales we made in a day or the percentage of new customers or things like that. And every year, my goal is just to always do better than the year before. Yeah. So we are already we surpassed last year already. And I guess we have a few weeks left, but we made more than we did last year. We have more new customers every week and we're selling more products. So last year alone, just with blueberry scones, we sold about 10,000 blueberry scones, just scones. And this year we've already beat that. And we're just, so every holiday I'm always like, okay, I want to make more pies this year. I want to make more cookie boxes this year. My team probably is like, can you just stop? Like, do we have to do more? But like, even today, somebody called and they're like, can we get 20 pies by Tuesday? And I'm like, yes. We can do that. And my team's like, oh, can we? I'm like, yeah, we can. We'll make it happen.
Kaldi's Coffee has been proudly roasting in St. Louis since 1994. Guided by a commitment to quality, service, and community, Kaldi strives to make every cup a moment of discovery. And get this, thanks to the support of their St. Louis community and fans across the country, they were named USA Today's #1 coffee chain in 2024. Visit Kaldi'sCoffee.com to find your nearest cafe, shop coffee for home, or even book a free tour and cupping at their roastery. Follow the goat to your next great coffee experience. Enjoy the rest of the episode. Do you find that that's sort of the attitude it takes to make it work?
Yeah, and you kind of have to just kind of I'm always the type of person that I'm last minute. I'm a procrastinator, but I thrive under pressure.
Me too.
So I'm just always like, I love it when it's chaotic. I think that's my favorite time in the bakery is chaotic. And we have so many orders and we're like, oh, we're going to get it done. But then we do. And it's just such a great feeling just to know like your team is with you to help you achieve these goals. Because obviously it's made by Lia, but I can't do it all. It takes a village. It takes a team. And even the ones who are helping watch my kids, I couldn't do everything so I'm just so grateful to have such a supportive team and family and friends and all that kind of got my back.
When did the desire to write a book come into play?
So it was about 3 years ago. I was approached by Rick Olszek from AB Mari. So I don't know if you know the past of that, but I used to be a brand ambassador for Fleischmann's Yeast. And that's kind of where Made by Lia grew, was out of the baking hub at the Cortex district at AB Mari. Yeah. So I was able to kind of really grow my brand by using their space because I used to just run out of a tiny little apartment kitchen. So he approached me and he's like, hey, we're looking for a book that we can kind of pass out to clients and customers, really highlighting some of Fleischmann's Yeast, recipes that highlight their yeast and stuff. So I was like, well, heck yeah, I've always wanted to write a book. So I started it probably about 2.5 years ago. Well, then I got pregnant with my third. And so that kind of was, a little more important. Slow things down. And so it took me about 2.5 years to probably write and complete and test and taste and do all the perfect, to get all the recipes perfect to print and all the photography and everything like that. So it was just, I love the process of doing it though. It was so fun.
How different was that process than sort of just the baking itself?
Well, so this has to be so much more exact. So I had to kind of in my mind pretend that somebody who's never baked before was reading this book. So I really wanted just clear and concise instructions, but also like approachable recipes.
Mm-hmm.
Not like I wasn't trying to get people to make some fancy, things. They're just really great staples that I think every home should have. Whether it's cakes, pies, cookies, breads like focaccia and scones, and some of it's basically my greatest hits, like my
Mm-hmm.
best sellers at the bakery, some recipes that stem from childhood, recipes I developed alongside my kids. So I think it's just like a perfect blend of made by Lia. And it also shares a lot of my story. So that was a really hard part too, to like condense my story into a few pages.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like I have so much to share. And so I think, obviously there might be more books in the future, hopefully.
Yay, we love to hear that.
Yeah.
When you think about so many people in St. Louis know your story, but this is reaching well beyond. You mentioned
Yeah.
that couple from Chicago. What is the story that you want to tell about yourself to sort of that outside
Yeah.
world?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Actually, there's way more people in St. Louis that don't have a clue who I am, I have found, which I'm glad because I'm like, my market is a lot broader than I thought because I've been doing signings from everywhere from Kirkwood, Clayton, Webster. I was in Warrenton, Missouri. I've done a ton of signings and they're like, who's Made by Lia? What bakery is this? What is Florissant? Like they have no idea. So, which is great. And I'm like, it's really cool to be able to share my story and Old Town Florissant with other people who have never been there before.
Yeah.
So I would say my, what I'm trying to share is to be able to bake, learn the craft of baking easily, share recipes with family and friends, bring your kids or family into the kitchen, bringing you back to the kitchen table because I feel like everybody's so busy these days, you're eating on the go or barely ever like taking time to sit down around the kitchen table. But that's how I was brought up, to sit around the kitchen table every meal,
Yeah.
and I think that's really important. And then also, just like I said, learning the craft and having approachable recipes that you can have on deck. Like, okay, I need a birthday cake. My kid's egg free. I need a donut, and you'll have those staples, a muffin that you can always go to, and just versatile, quick, simple recipes. And that's kind of what I like to portray,
How much do you think people like? My goal right now, I feel like, is to have a couple of those baking recipes that I have memorized that I could just bake from scratch because I can cook really well. I feel like, and I can do that from scratch. But baking is different.
It's a little
because
different,
you do need some fairly exact measurements.
Yeah.
Do you remember growing up and being able to execute that first recipe just like without having to look or like ask your grandmother or your family members for help?
For sure. My recipe that I've developed since I was probably like 12 years old, my mom said I came home from school and she was gone and she came home and there was a lemon meringue pie and she's like, did you make that? And at the time it was just like the Jell-O cook and serve. It was store-bought crust, but I think I must have made the meringue. So that was the recipe that I was like, okay, now I want to learn how to make the crust. Now I want to learn how to make the homemade lemon curd. And it's a recipe that's just been with me through it all. So I brought it to Hendel's when I was their pastry chef. I was on The Next Great Baker with me. It was
right there.
Yeah, it was the finale dessert recipe that even Jacques Torres was like, I want this recipe or whatever. It was so cool.
How amazing is that to think about what that recipe means for your story in life?
I know it's like literally from the beginning until now, and now we sell it at the bakery, and so it's just really a special recipe. Now it's in a book. It's just cool,
so people can learn to make it themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
You just mentioned your time on the show. How did you? How much do you think that played into where you are today?
I think it had a huge part of my story. It's where really, I remember before that I started Made by Lia in 2012, just as a little Facebook page where people could just order, and I remember bugging people, be like, like my page or whatever. And then in 2014 is when I won the show. And so that really broadened my reach, and I grew it by thousands followers overnight. And so it was just really cool to, be able to say that I had 10 episodes on TV, on TLC. And then not only, winning the competition was so cool. And that kind of got so much more exposure, whether it was being on the news or STL Today or whatever the publications were. And then that built relationships. So then when I opened my business, I was like, hey, remember when you did a story? Or remember when I was on the news? And so then they were like, oh, yeah, we want you back on the show or whatever. So it just kind of built those relationships for marketing, but also with customers and my followers on social media. So I still have people coming in today and be like, I remember remember watching you on Next Great Baker. And so I feel like that's going to be something when I'm like 80 years old. They'll be like, remember when you won the Next Great Baker? I'll be like, oh my gosh. Because it's already been like 10 or 11 years.
Which is kind of crazy.
I know.
Like,
it's
where
wild.
is time? I was actually just thinking as we were sitting here that you and I did an interview.
Yeah, we did a podcast.
I was very
You were pregnant.
It must have been my first. So it must have been like maybe a year after you guys had opened. I think it was right after I opened, yeah. Because I was pregnant during COVID. Yeah. So yeah, it was right around that time.
Yeah.
It is funny. And now, I mean, that child, my 4-year-old, loves to be in the kitchen with me, loves to bake. And I do think making those memories with our kids, it's so important.
It's so important. And that's like even just like working mothers or fathers, or entrepreneurs and all of that. I think letting your kids be involved is so important. Like both my kids have recipes in here, and they think that's so cool to like open the book and they see their picture or they see their muffin in there. It'd be different if I was like going to work and they wouldn't see me or they didn't know what I was doing. But getting them involved, like whether they're stickering boxes or no child labor, but or
just volunteers.
But it makes such a difference because it makes you feel like they know like every other week, Daddy's got to pay the baker, so he's got to do payroll. So like they just know that those are the important things that we have to do, and it's a family business. And so I think that's what's cool about getting them involved. They don't feel like, oh, Mommy's got to go to work. They're like, okay, like this is for the business,
What is next? You have a cookbook. Yeah. You have a thriving bakery in Florissant. What comes next for you?
So I would love to continue to market my book. Like I feel like we're still only in the first few months of the book. I personally have sold close to 2,000 copies just out of the bakery.
Love that.
That's not including what the publisher has done. So I think that's amazing. And I just want it to get in the hands of so many people. And then I want them to use, actually bake the recipes. I've gotten a lot of people that are like tagging me on Instagram, whatever. It's so fun.
That must be so fun.
It is so cool.
Especially this season where so many people are baking those holiday cookies. Yeah. To see those tags and know that you're now part of somebody's holiday.
Yeah, and like their tradition. And I just think it's so cool. And somebody, told me they're like their favorite holiday cookie is now in the book. And I'm just like, it just makes my heart happy. And then I would love to write another book, but savory cooking at some point. That's just going to take some time because, I don't write anything down when I cook. And so I'm just like, oh, throw this and that in there. So that's next. And then I just want to continue to grow my brand and build the bakery and get new people to come out to Florissant, even though they think, it's a little far away, but it's not too far. And
well worth it.
Yes,
and
well worth it.
Pair it with a visit to the library because that's always my favorite thing to do.
For sure.
Is like take the kids to the library up there and then come see you guys because it's a really great library for the kids.
And go to Hendel's for lunch.
Yeah.
It's just down the road.
What you mentioned that you would like to do savory cooking from a cookbook perspective. How is that something that you also love? People think of you for baking.
Yeah. So I actually like cooking is my zen. It's my happy place. Like just being in the kitchen, making pasta, like after a long day at work, like I am pretty much in the kitchen all day long because I'm in the kitchen at work. Then I go home and I'm like, what should I make for dinner? And,
right.
Sometimes obviously you get burnt out and you're like, oh my gosh, what do I need to make for dinner? It's like the everyday saga. But that's kind of like my goal though. Yeah. Is like, this is everyday craft baking. So like, I don't know, when everyday cooking or something that where you can feel like you can whip something up that's still healthy and fresh. Even when you're busy and you just want to run through and get drive-through food or whatever. But so yeah, that'll be in the making for sure at some point in time. I haven't even started.
Do you have a favorite? Do you have a go-to recipe? You mentioned pasta. Is that kind of where you lean?
Pasta's my jam. I do like a sheet pan pasta. I'm like always about simple and minimal. Like I don't like dishes, so just go directly from the pot of the water into the sheet pan and then just stir it up with some roasted veggies and olive oil, and it's just so simple and good.
Amazing.
But I do a lot of like dairy-free vegetarian cooking and stuff like that too. So,
which is something people can find at your bakery as well.
Yeah. Well, for the pastries.
Yeah, for pastry. From a pastry perspective, you guys. That's a really important part that you guys have things for everybody.
Our vegan and gluten-free items are some of our most popular items, even for the non-vegan and gluten-free people. Like I said, our lemon blueberry scones are most popular, and it's gluten-free, and you'd never know it. And the book has a lot of recipes, too, that are allergy-friendly. So I just think it's, like, important to have a place where no matter who you are, you can come and get yourself a treat or, and hopefully. We usually have every nut-free, dairy-free, all the frees.
As you think of the end of this year, the end of 2025, marking 5 years of your bakery, what's been the biggest high point of your year so far?
Oh my gosh. Probably my book was
Yeah.
really cool. Like to know that I have a book before the age of 40 and like that I achieved one of my other dreams is pretty awesome. I'm a dreamer. I'm always dreaming of different things. My goal would be for you to someday just like turn on the TV and there I am being like, hey, we're gonna make this today.
Yay.
But that takes a lot of time.
Mhm.
And I've found that as a mom, and as you know, I'm sure, it's so hard to keep up with it all. So
Mhm.
something has to give. And lately, like I can't keep up with my social media all the time. As much as like I could probably be out there making all the recipes and making reels and all this. It's like when I'm at home, I need to be with my kids. And
Yeah.
that's my number one priority is family. And then the bakery and, you know, all that follows after.
And it's all about finding those priorities, and those priorities
Yeah.
shift all the time.
Always.
And it is so nice though to hear when people talk about that honesty that like, hey, you might be able to have it all. You just can't have it all at one time.
No. Yeah. I think in the very beginning of the bakery, I had to build the brand, but I had so much pressure on like, I have to make this post. I have to do this. And then it really took, and I lost a baby and like that changed my whole perspective on my whole life. And it was like that stuff is just so like minimal compared to what's more important. Like I want to make sure that I am the best mom I can be and the best boss I can be and putting those things first and then the rest, you know, will kind of follow after that. So it's just kind of like a perspective of like it used to be like I had to please everybody. I had to post all these things and I got to look perfect for social media. Like, I'm sorry, but even today I'm like, here I am, you know, like.
My curling iron broke this morning. I'm like, that's, you know what? We're doing it.
It's just, yeah.
But I think people appreciate that honesty
Yeah.
and that vulnerability of being in, whether it's people knowing you from your online space or people knowing you because they come into your bakery and they know you and your employees and your family and they feel like they're a part of it.
Yeah. It's just real, you know, it's real life. And it's like, that's all as simple as I can, you know, be. It's like when you come to the bakery, you're going to see us working really hard. Like, I love that you can see all the bakers in the back. It's so fun. And it's just, you know, about a community. Like, I just feel like we're just very blessed to have each other and to have a community that supports us and lifts us up. So
thank you so much, Lia.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, so you can find Made by Lia's cookbook, of course, at her bakery and in bookstores all across St. Louis. We will also include a link in the description for this week's episode. Now on to the events for this week. First off, at Made by Lia's Bakery in Old Town Florissant, you can meet Santa and get your photo taken. That's happening Saturday, December 20th. The performance of Emma is at the Rep this week, happening through December 21st. Joyful at Coca is a performance that you do not want to miss, happening Saturday, December 20th. The Holiday Makers Market at Four Hands Brewery happens Sunday, December 21st. And if you want to catch a holiday movie up on the rooftop, check out Reels on the Rooftop at Le Meridian in Clayton. They are doing a double showing on Sunday, December 21st. Thank you so much for listening and following along with this new podcast. It has been such a joy. I'm having so much fun. We will see you in the new year with brand new episodes starting in January. Happy holidays.